Well, here's something, Brian, that you haven't had to have your earbuds in. If you've just had ears at all, you've heard the news. It's been spread around everywhere. We reversal. Johnny Ace, my old friend, head of talent relations and other types of relations that he got head in. John Laurinaitis is making a run at the Stooge Hall of Fame, Brian. He's a strong candidate. This is some Hall of Fame level stoogery. Because ever since back in the days, 25 years ago, when he got the office job in WCW, the accusations began being bandied about in the locker rooms in some areas that Johnny Ace was a stooge. And for the kids out there, that means he likes to tell on people. He's a tattletale. If Ace knows it, he's going to stooge to the office on you. And there have been throughout history numerous people in the wrestling business that have attained the level of high stoogery. And there is a Stooge Hall of Fame. But I think that this is a level of stoogery, Brian, that I don't know that I've ever seen anybody else aspire to. Not only has Johnny Ace managed to be a stooge inside the office of a wrestling company for 25 years, he's managed to stooge first as on the boys in his position as talent relations. And then he was given the opportunity by Vince McMahon to, after he had been stooged on and was fired from his current position back in 2010, 11, 12 for sexual harassment. They kept him on and covered him up a little bit so you didn't see him too much. And then as soon as Vince got the chance, he not only brought back his stooge that had been his stooge, even Kevin Dunn never got his Bucky Beaver chompers into Vince's ass like this. He'd been his stooge all that time. Now Vince is hooking him up with three ways while he's an executive. And then when they all get sued for it, Johnny Ace turns around and says, "No, I was a victim too." So he did a flip-flop. Then a couple months later, he flipped back and said, "Wait a minute, none of this shit happened." And now he's flipped again. And he's not only said, "Yes, I'm going to cooperate with the person that said all this happened, but I've settled with her because I'm going to give her information on Vince McMahon." If he's not the most successful stooge in the history of wrestling, he's going to be the most famous one because he's going to stooge the stoogiest stooging that has ever been stooged that's got this much publicity. If you were a defense attorney, Brian Last, would you want him on your side, or would you want him on the other side? Because, you can't believe him if his tongue is notarized.
I'd hate to think what Mrs. Baba would think of all this, but Jim, we have a statement that was released. This is a statement on behalf of both Janelle Grant and John Laurinaitis, although put out, I believe, through Janelle Grant's attorney. John Laurinaitis has agreed to cooperate and provide evidence in Janelle Grant's lawsuit against Vince McMahon and WWE. His agreement to a confidential settlement is a pivotal next step toward holding McMahon and WWE accountable and bringing justice to Ms. Grant after years of sexual abuse and trafficking. Mr. Laurinaitis looks forward to moving on with his life. We cannot provide any additional details at this time. Now, we have a follow-up from Vince McMahon's lawyers, but let's stop there for a moment.
Well, that pretty much sounds like that he said, "Please leave me alone and don't hurt me, and I'll tell you things you need to know about Vince McMahon and or testify to things that happened that support your case," doesn't it? What else could it be?
Vince McMahon and WWE. It's not just Vince here in this lawsuit.
Well, but yes, again. The current WWE, they didn't even own the thing when this was going on, and who knows what that whole can of fish is about. But the suit is technically, they're referring to a suit against Vince McMahon and WWE. So if Laurinaitis provides information damaging to Vince McMahon, it would also be providing information against the previous people in WWE. Is there still anybody there that was there then? Who would be there in any position of power that was there 5 years ago when anything was happening?
Nick Khan, Triple H, Bruce Pritchard.
Well, now
Michael
Nick Khan and
Hayes.
Triple H, I said position of power. Come on, Bruce couldn't pull a greasy string out of a cat's ass.
I have a statement here from Vince McMahon's attorney, Jessica Rosenberg. Today's dismissal of John Laurinaitis as a defendant doesn't alter the facts of this case in any way. Vince McMahon never mistreated Janelle Grant. No matter how many press releases her team issues, the truth remains unchanged. As Mr. Laurinaitis' lawyer previously said, Mr. Laurinaitis corroborates Mr. McMahon in publicly declaring that Ms. Grant's allegations of sexual abuse and coercion in her complaint are completely unfounded.
Well, that's what he said before, but if you were Janelle Grant's lawyer and the best John Laurinaitis could say was, well, these statements are completely unfounded, do you think you'd settle with him? Or would you settle with him if he could say, do, or provide something that would just pull up the fucking limo and pick you up and drive you right to the fucking bank?
Yeah, did Laurinaitis' lawyer finally turn to him and say, look, you're going to be in a lot of trouble if she gets this lawsuit to go forward, and it looks like it is right now. It may cost you everything. Laurinaitis probably said, all right. And made a deal. And Vince McMahon, this comes on the news as today, as we are recording. Do I have this? Words coming out about Vince McMahon's new company. Have you seen this?
Uh-oh. What kind of monkey business is he operating?
I saw it from Brandon Thurston, who had the first report I saw. Let me see if I can find it real quick on Twitter. But Vince McMahon, according to a report from WrestleNomics, has launched a new business venture, forming an investment firm called 14th and I, pursuing opportunities in sports, media, and entertainment. This is all from public filings in the state of Connecticut for LLCs.
14th and I. Does that roll right off the tongue?
Well, according to what Brandon Thurston wrote here, the firm's name appears to be a reference to a location of historical significance for McMahon and WWE. A 2006 article on WWE.com noted that the Capital Wrestling Corporation, the predecessor to WWE, was headquartered at the corner of 14th and I Streets in Washington, D.C. around the 1950s and 60s, when the company was led by McMahon's father, Vincent J. McMahon.
Oh, my God. 14th and I, a little inside reference, and
Sounds like the worst dating site ever for a pervert.
But that's what I was going to say is that the 23andMe went bankrupt, but 14th and I is that only if you're a minor can you have your DNA scanned or whatever? I don't think 14th and I. It's not even third and goal.
Man, you name your company that so everyone asks you, why did you name your company that in every meeting you go to?
So, but again, any specifics about what are the things that he wants to do in the sports and the entertainment?
They are all entities formed in Delaware. They all list Stamford, Connecticut as the principal office. Does it have the address in Stamford? Not that I need that, I guess, at the moment. They have filed trademarks with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office for 14th and I. And Brad Blum is listed as the president of 14th and I, the former WWE executive. It's a private investment firm focused on sports, media, and entertainment sectors. We are a disciplined, flexible, long-term capital and strategic partner, primarily targeting buyouts, majority deals, as well as selective growth-oriented minority investments. We seek to partner with and empower exceptional management teams, provide deep expertise, capability, and relationships to help drive significant long-term value.
What the fuck does that mean?
They're going to buy shit. That's what that means. If they're going to buy anything in wrestling, what's available for Vince McMahon to buy? Is he going to buy if he buys TNA, does that change the way you see everything with TNA over the last year? But it couldn't be TNA. I would hope not. He ain't going to buy New Japan.
I don't think that if he were to buy any existing wrestling promotion, I don't think it would change the way that we would look at that individual promotion past what the fuck's he going to do with it and what changes are going to come. But in all honesty, TNA is owned by the entity, the network, as they say. I'm sure they're open for business and they'd sell anything, but would they keep the show on, or would it be see, that's the deal. A lot of these times WCW tried that before that it fucking happened. There was a Sinclair shopped around the idea of selling Ring of Honor once before they actually did. But you'd have to either pay for the television or the television time wouldn't come with it. So, you know,
they're looking for things to purchase, and it says sports, media, entertainment. It could be anything. Now we got to be have our eyes looked at if he's going to try to buy one of these podcast companies, because that's like the hot thing to do, and then they find out there's nothing there and you lose your ass.
Well, at least we won't have to worry about that because we, the independents out here.
That's right. But that's the thing. If they're looking for things to purchase, what's going to really be available for sale? Now we're figuring he's financing this with his own money, a good portion of it, and we know he has plenty of cash.
He's got $2 billion.
The question is, what's there to purchase? What could he buy? What could WWE's expert team from years ago do to improve whatever? Is it a big purchase? Do they try to buy a Feld Entertainment and get a whole variety of things like Ringling Brothers? Or do they look for a sports team? Do they look for, distressed media assets? This is going to be interesting. I mean, the fact they're moving forward with it, the same day John Laurinaitis is saying, it was him!
I don't know if those distressed assets may be positively despondent by the time that they get finished with them. Well, we'll keep an eye on Vince's maneuverings and machinations over this whole thing, and see whether Laurinaitis fingers him before he gets his finger back in the wrestling business or not. Which do you think? I think Laurinaitis may have some tall tales to tell about
unfinished business. No, I don't know what Laurinaitis. I mean, I remember a few years ago, Bobby Fulton tried to book him, and there was enough of an outcry over that didn't happen. I don't think he could do really anything in wrestling, and that's booking him, let alone a job, I guess, as an executive. That ain't going to happen.
No, that's why I'm saying. Do you think that Vince will start another wrestling company before Laurinaitis gets the chance to publicly proclaim whatever the fuck he's got to say about Vince?
Start a wrestling company or buy a wrestling company?
Well, get involved with one.
I don't know. Again, if we just think about what we've seen publicly, he made a very public showing of being at the Super Bowl with The Undertaker and Shane. You don't go anywhere with The Undertaker unless you want to be seen. He's gearing up for something. He's clearly gearing up for something, and he's got money, and he still owns a giant chunk of WWE. Let's not forget that. All things considered, a giant chunk, more than the average person.
Yeah, what was it? Still like 8 million shares or something?
Was it like 5% or a little less than 5%? I mean, it was still a good amount or whatever he had.
And plus, he's on that high fiber diet. He's got better fiber than he has in years, so he's ready to go.
Well, we don't have a fiber.
You haven't heard about the fiber diet?
I don't know. Let's not talk about things that may get the bowels in motion.
Get the bowels in an uproar. Whoa. If you want to get your bowels in an uproar, why don't we talk about Wednesday night's AEW television?